That's it. As a dog listener, what I do is I help people with their problem dogs by showing them that dogs have their own language and their own way of looking to see who they can trust with the big decisions. The thing is with dogs is if they don't see those decisions coming from other people, they take the responsibility themselves. So it's about showing the dog, you can trust me and I'll look after you. But we've got to do it in a way that makes sense to the dog. So in essence, I teach people how to speak dog. It doesn't mean going arf, 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 arf. There are key times when dogs ask questions with their body language and we just have to give them the right answers.
So where do these techniques come from that you use?
Well, my mum, Jan Fennell, she created the system after studying. She had a revelation when she'd been doing dog training ever since I was little. I always remember mum working with dogs, but always feeling there was something missing. And when she met Monty Roberts, the horse whisperer, she realised what she'd been missing was we don't look at it from the dog's point of view. We think that dogs understand what it's like to be a human. We don't put that pressure on cats or budgies or goldfish or any other animal because we have a very strong connection with dogs. But the true connection is people think like dogs. We're pack animals with a sense of territory. If you don't believe me, watch a football match. Okay, it happens all the time. So my mum went back and went, okay, so what do dogs actually need? What do they look for? And it's security, safety, and who's responsible. So she noticed that one of her dogs looked to be doing that job because she made the comparison with wolves and dingoes, etc. And she started to mimic that behaviour of Sasha, and her dogs calmed down. And she thought, lovely jubbly, great, that'll do me, thank you very much. But then other people went, oh, your dog's well behaved, Jan, how did you do that? So she started to explain it, and now the book's in 25 languages. And I got roped in the late 90s because mum just got loads of work, and she said, I can't cope with all these people. I said, well, train me up, I'll help. And I got roped in, I'm still doing it, and I travel all over the world. I do TV over in Australia right now, and this autumn I'm going to start filming for my TV show in the UK.
There's dogs here of all shapes, sizes, people of all different ages and experiences, but they're all managing to control the dogs, aren't they?
Absolutely, with a minimum of fuss as well, because what we want people to do is to stay calm. When you've got a plan, you can stay calm because you know what you want and you know what you're doing. There's nothing more frustrating than, say, yes, you're right, bringing a dog into the home, not knowing what makes the dog tick. The dog goes crazy and you don't know what to do. With dog listening, you say to people, this is why the dog's doing it, and this is what you can do to change it. And you can see people going, oh, well, that's so simple. And it is. That's the great thing about it. It is so simple. And like I often say, the dogs will tell you if it's working or not. And as you've already seen, just from this little piece of demonstration we've got with the dogs, that they're calming down quite dramatically. Because for some dogs, when you speak in their language, they go, well, why didn't you say so before, for goodness sake? Oh, that makes sense.
There was one in particular that you had I didn't think was going to calm down at all, and eventually you weren't really using any force, were you?
The only force you have is your force of will. You know what you want, and when you've got an idea in your head that's fixed, you don't need to use any aggression or force because you just know that you're waiting for the dog to learn. We can't tell dogs what we want them to do, but we can show them if we're consistent in our actions, and the best leaders are the ones that are calm. We all need to know where we fit in and who we can trust. And so all you do is you show the dog, you can trust me. And if I was to say to you right now, you can trust me with your life, you'd ask for my credentials. I'd have to prove myself. So that's what we do with dogs. We give them information to prove ourselves worthy. And then dogs go, right, okay, I can trust you. I'll relax and see what you do about it. Rather than the dog going, what do I do about this world? They don't understand where they are.
I'm Anne Scriven and I live in Paisley, down south, and I'm married to Colm Scriven, who's a Jan Fennell trained dog listener.
So tell us a bit about Jenna, who you brought today for the class.
Well, Jenna is our beautiful red and white collie who we've had now for about 7 years. My husband's done quite a lot of work with her, but the purpose of me coming today was the fact that this course had ran down in Paisley, but I was unwell and couldn't go to it. So I had missed out. So Jenna actually was doing me a favour by coming along. She knows what she's doing. I don't. When I'm in the house with Jenna and all sorts of situations are outside, I still get things wrong. And Colm felt, and I felt, that it would be really beneficial if Jenna wouldn't mind coming with me and under Tony's guidance, working out where I was going wrong with things and getting a bit more practical input on it, really.
So, you've had one day of theory, and this is the first practical day.
That's right.
So this is the first day Jenna's actually been involved.
Yes.
How do you feel now after the first evening of practice?
Really good, and to be honest, at the start of this evening when all the dogs were arriving and a lot of nervous dogs, worried and worried owners, and one thing I have learned is that dogs can hear your pulse, And I knew that my pulse was going like the clappers. I was trying to look really calm because I thought it's important Jenna thinks I'm calm. But I was thinking, how am I going to get her from the car calmly through the gate into the field without her feeling unprotected? And then I've just noticed, after a couple of hours being in the field, working with the dogs, doing what Tony said, my pulse is absolutely calm. In fact, I'm now ready to go home and just crash into bed and have a really long sleep because I think Jenna's exhausted too from all the concentration she's been doing. But yeah, I looked around the field there at the end and many of the dogs were lying down. One was, had flipped up and had his tummy up in the air because he was so relaxed. And the one dog that was very, very anxious was walking very nicely with its owner. So it's actually almost miraculous when you watch it happening. And at the start, you don't think it's going to happen. There was a moment tonight and I thought, I might just say, I'll just take the dog a different walk and I'll join my husband later. But I didn't because I'd said I would do this. And I'm really glad I did it, just to experience it. It's night and day from the theory.
There are 4 areas where dogs will ask questions about who they can trust, and that's food, the hunt, which is what we're doing today, again, because the walk is the nearest thing to going out for a hunt, because you're in the big wide world. Danger, those for the dogs that bark all the time when people go past the house or in the car, and their everyday status. Dogs have lots of ways of getting your attention when they say, jumping, barking, bringing toys, leaning, etc. But if they can do it when they say, that gives them influence, and influence leads to responsibility, which can lead to problems. So when you understand those 4 areas and you know what to do, and they're very easy, you show the dogs you can trust me with the big decisions. In a world that actually we do understand. We know that we're in mint law right now. Dogs don't even know what Scotland is. So we have that advantage. We've just got to get that message to the dogs, but in a way that makes sense to them, by appreciating that they are dogs. I always say, cats can get away with murder, literally. Cat owners go, yeah, well, it's a cat, what are you going to do? It's the same thing. Dogs are dogs. They can't help it. Work with their nature. Don't deny it, and you can make some incredible transformations.
And you also said, interestingly, dogs don't necessarily need lots of walks.
No, they don't. This idea that you have to exercise the problem out of the dog, as I said, if exercise led to good behaviour, football players would be angels. That isn't the case. It's not about the amount of exercise, it's the quality of the information you give. And some people, as you've seen, on this class we've got a lady in a wheelchair. To put that kind of pressure on her that I have to walk my dog is, that's just not practical. And she could get really upset about the fact that she doesn't. The truth is that they won't waste their energy. That does mean you've got time and you can walk your dog as much as you like, but you get in control of it, like learning to drive a car. Get in control of it before you start to go on the streets.
And these people here, they're with you for 3 days, aren't they? They were here yesterday doing theory.
Yep.
The dogs are here today and then they have another day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are different people hoping to achieve different things?
I think people, come because maybe they've got individual problems themselves. And, a problem that a dog will have is actually a symptom of the overall cause, which is the dog can't cope with the responsibility. So that's why over the 3 days I give them all 4 areas so they can be consistent in all of them so the dog gets the full message. But what I like about doing the dog classes is also people get to have the practical side so they can see the dogs reacting, like you saw with that dog that was really testing me, and I just kept my cool and just made sure that he calmed down just by outweighting him. You see the dogs react and people go, well, what you say makes sense, it's obvious, it's logical, and I can see it working, so that'll do for me.
And do you see the same kind of problems wherever you go?
All over them, yeah, all over. And then people will say, have you ever met a dog you can't work with? I've never met a dog I can't work with. There's been some people.
Yeah, and you've done a few things with them already that I've seen. You got them walking their dogs in opposite directions, didn't you?
Yeah, a dog that pulls, it's basically going, I've decided to go over here. So the moment you calmly walk in the other direction, you've gone, well, I've decided to go over here. And if you keep doing that, you're making lots of decisions, which is a very, a crash course in decision making that the dog sees you do. And as you can see right now, and we've got the dog that was giving me a lot of hassle just over there. His tail's not wagging as much, which means he's relaxed, he's calming down. A wagging tail means the dog's adrenaline's gone up. Could be good, but not necessarily. A dog could bite you and it's wagging its tail. But what you've got is you've got a dog going, well, maybe, I don't have to worry. And so this is a really good way of just getting the information into the dogs in a short hit, in a concentrated form.
If the dog does keep running away, what do you suggest you do?
Well, if the dog runs away, don't run after it, because a pack animal doesn't want to, if the pack animal turns around and sees the pack following it, it knows it's made the right decision. So first of all, we do the work on the lead, and then when we feel somewhere secure, we can start calling our dog to us off the leash. But if the dog runs off and doesn't come back, I know it's tough, but you've got to walk in the other direction. The choice you're giving the dog is come with the pack or you're on your own. When the dog does come back, no words, just put the dog back on the leash. You'd lost that privilege. But you're always calm with what you do. You don't get upset, you don't get angry, because you want the dog to see, you know what, this one doesn't lose his cool. I know what I want, and I know if I do it enough, you'll get it. I've met some stubborn dogs, but I'm more stubborn.